So we can go with the next speaker, which is Anita Goldberga from the National Library of Latvia, who will tell us about Runa, which is a very interesting project. I always like to hear about it. So Anita, when you want. Oh, you are mute, Anita. You have.
Hello to everyone. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Thank you for this invitation. And I already told about the pilot version of Runa. It is Rainis and Aspazija collection at the URIG meeting 2017. This collection offers interlinked digital objects and data from several memory institutions related to two Latvian poets and politicians of the National Awakening period. Runa was a testbed for identification of key entities in cultural heritage text documents. The main entity classes and relationships of LRM-RDA were in line with our intention of placing data in their context. This slide illustrates the background of the Runa data model's creation in the context of international bibliographic data modeling. In 2014-2016, the initial version of Runa was developed. During 2018-2019, a special semantic annotation tool and its entity data store was developed. Currently, in the third phase, only the content of the collection is being extended as part of the fundamental and applied research project in which students are also involved. Scholars and researchers have to extract precise meaning of mentioned entities and their interconnections in the Runa documents. The key entities used to achieve this goal are person, institution, place, building, time, work, event, object, and concept. Besides person and institution, agents group in Runa does also identify family, but separate agent class entity is not in use. Building structure entity is separated from place because buildings, monuments, and etc. have more precise geographic attributes, coordinates, than, for example, places, Riga or Europe. Time is a single named entity without a beginning and end. Time span entity could not be applied during the project development. Instead, there is another, more complicated solution for reflecting time span in Runa, using composite annotation classes. Runa-Vemi relationships will be explained in the next slide. Event, object, and concept entities are very significant for cultural heritage texts and have been taken from FRBR. During the annotation process for this collection, a separate entity record has been created for each new entity and saved in the entity data store. VMI levels are hard to distinguish in texts, unlike in structured bibliographic or authority records. Every sentence in free written text can refer to a different level in VMI hierarchy. Sometimes even the same mention of a work title must be categorized as more than one VMI entity. For instance, Rainis and Aspazija correspondence often refers to work. For example, Faust by Goethe, finished in 1832. Expression, Faust, translation into Latvian by Rainis and Aspazija, 1898. Manifestation, Faust in Latvian, which was first published in 1998 by Ernst Plates Publishing House. And item, Faust, first edition in the storage from the storage of National Library. To overcome these difficulties, a simplified approach was taken. There is only one entity class for works in the annotation tool. The exact VMI level of a contextual entity is established by relationship types defined for entity class work. The link named publisher implies manifestation. The link author implies work, which paired with translation or language becomes expression. By annotating, students and researchers first of all identify author, translator, publisher, or owner relationships to work, which are determined by an entity-specific attribute. It is an implication of relationship. This approach relieves students of excessive studies of data modeling principles in the library field. Runa entity class is sufficiently comprehensive, and entity information is usable in other projects carried out in the annotation tool. But entity subclasses are Runa specific. Many Runa entities have the same source data sets, but identifier sets differ. This is the main reason for dividing Runa main entities into subclasses. For example, in Runa, entity class person has corresponding subclasses: person, fictional character, mythological character, and deity. Entity name is recorded in several languages, in most cases Latvian, English, German, Russian. Another example. Place entity subclasses in Runa are determined by their appearance in texts and defined using according identifier sets. At the moment, there are 11 place subclasses, but the number can increase based on the need. And in conclusion, I will mention a few challenges. Identification of LRM RDA VMI levels in free-form text is a challenge, as well as lack of some relationship designators and appropriate RDA namespaces to reflect real-life relationships, such as, for instance, spouse, mother, sister, lecturer, etc. That's all from me, and thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you, Anita, for this presentation. We have just a little time, or we are tight of time. I have a couple of questions, but I think I will, if it's okay with you, I will go back to them at the end of this morning session. It's okay?
Okay.
So we can go on.
For Anita, I have a question what did you do when there wasn't an RDA element or vocabulary to cover your needs?
I think that in our collection, Runa, we just used some key entities. I mentioned already all of them during my presentation. But yes, I already told that some of main entities are left from FRDR, for example, event, concept, and I think that a lot of our needs are covered by RDA relationship designators, as I mentioned already. But anyway, I mentioned also our challenges because identifying entities in free text publications, it's very different from structured data. But anyway, these main entities covered our needs in general. Did I answer your question?
Well, the last point of your presentation was there are some gaps, and I just wanted to know how you filled them.
Oh, okay, I understand. It refers to relationships like spouse, mother, sister. I think we can have solution taking these relationships from another model, for example, and we also plan to use these entities and relationships from FOAF also for entity register for cultural heritage digital objects description in future.
Thank you very much.